in my city, and it's like that.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Osh Knows. Today we're going to get into a little bit of, I wouldn't say story time, but a little bit of my experience through prison. I get asked a lot, you know what I mean? People have asked me to talk about it on here, and I didn't really want to make it like a prison genre channel, you know what I mean? Because I got a lot of other stuff that defines me that I do in my life that, I don't really want prison to be the end all be all when people think of me, you know what I mean? But it did take up a significant portion of my life. I got locked up from March 28th, 2008 to August 28th, 2012. That's like 4 years, 7 months, and it was almost 4 years and 8 months is what it ended up being. So, I mean, I feel like it's disrespectful for me to say 5 years to the homies that have been doing lots and lots of calendars, you know what I mean? So, that was a fish number, you know what I mean? I was sentenced with a 4 to 7. I covered, the reason why I went to prison in a previous podcast. You can go back and check that out. So in this one, I'm going to go over a little bit of prison politics, a little bit of prison life, a little bit of how it works, and my experience only, because I can't speak on other groups, the way that they operated, other than what I seen and, went through, and the dealings that I had with other groups and other people, you know what I mean? So first of all, before I get started, I want everybody to know Wyoming is not at all like most prison systems in America, bigger states. I can't say that it's not political, but I will say that you could pick your own lane when you go in there, depending on your charges, as long as you didn't tell on nobody, or more often the case, if you didn't tell on a dude that's in the block with you, or somebody that don't hold weight, somebody that don't have a following, then you might just be able to slide on your whole number. People might not fuck with you. Like, you probably won't have a big group of homies. You won't get picked on those sports teams. But there are all those dudes that are house mouses that, got bad charges that just stay in their house. And depending on what prison or block or individuals they're around, they might just be able to slide and do their whole entire number with no issues, you know what I mean? I mean, I know a lot of people say, say like a child molester gets convicted, and, on social media, everybody, oh, he's finally going to go get what he deserves and blah, blah, blah. Well, basically all he's going to get is, what's the word? Like ostracized. He's basically just going to not have, any kind of social interactions in prison unless it's with like individuals, other people with messed up charges. And there are those groups. There really are, when you get to the medium and lower custody facilities, where a lot of the dudes who might have been down in Rawlins, which is the closed custody and maximum security facility. So high, medium, closed custody, and max is Rawlins. Then your medium, low, medium is in Torrington, and then you have your honor farm and the forestry are for minimum. So everything in prison is run on a point system. So your charges give you points, your age gives you points, how many write-ups you've had have given you points, how many times you've been to prison gives you points. These things add up in a point scale, and those determine whether you're from minimum to maximum. So the closed custody thing, most the time comes in with gang, your STG file. So when you first come in, if the cops have any knowledge of you being affiliated with the gang, if you have gang tattoos or whatever, they're going to interview you, they're going to sit down, then they're going to give you a piece of paper that says, sign this. If you sign this, you're saying that you're not part of a gang, that you're not affiliated. So without getting into my affiliations and my past, I mean, because if you know me, you know, and I'm not on here to glorify none of that shit, so I'm not going to really talk about that. But I went in there, and the way I felt in my heart, you know what I mean, with my brothers and the life that I lived, I couldn't sign a piece of paper saying I wasn't a part of a gang. So if you don't sign this piece of paper, they say, okay, we're going to give you a STG file that says you're this, this, and this. So every time you get a write up, or I guess depending on the write up, I'm not going to say every time because you're not going to get a write up for contraband and they're not going to give you a gang enhancement and give you a close custody. So basically what happens is you get STG. If you get a write up that they can link to any kind of gang activity, then they give you what's called a closed custody uh, classification. And basically, you'll always stay in high, medium, or like low max if you're not max anyway. Always. So you'll always be in Rawlins. The best you could get is Torrington. Um, but a lot of those people who politic pretty hard stay in Rawlins. So for me, when I got to prison, it was probably, and you can ask my bro. I'm not gonna say no names on here. Well, yeah, you know what? My bro Justin Young, my homie Joseph Gould. These were white homies, you know, that rolled with the white cars, but they're my bros in real life. You know what I mean? Outside of prison, inside of prison, these are my dogs. So we was all in the fish tank, and it was probably my maybe third day in, second or third day in, because I was brand new, didn't even know what to expect yet. Still, you know what I mean? So after chow, uh, they pop your doors and you can leave you leave your trays sitting outside your door, you and your cellie. When they give them to you, they give them to you through the bean chute in the door. Or actually, I'm lying. You go to the door. This has been a long time, you guys. This was 2008. So, and I was in the fish tank for like a month and a half. So my memory of that is very limited. Selected. You're in the house 23 and 1. They let you out to use the phone and shower. But anyways, so whatever the case was, it was after chow. And the cops were coming around to get the trays. Well, one cat upstairs, where I could see his cell, like kind of almost diagonal from me, didn't close his door after the lockdown. So the CO kept yelling at him to close his door. And this was a young CO, too. To my understanding, he was new. I don't know because I was new. So I don't know when he got there. He was there when I got there. So anyway, the CO went up there to go close this dude's door. And the other dude, he was a first timer. And he was under the movie impression, you know, I got to do something stupid right out the gate so people would take me serious. And, you know, I don't even know this dude's name. And if he's out there watching, or if you know him or know of him, you know, this motherfucker had balls of steel. So he just left the door open. The cop went up there to go close it. And he popped out on the cop and just started piecing this cop. Then the cop, like I said, to my understanding, was new. So he had never really been tested in that aspect. So instead of going for his radio or his pepper spray, you know, you kick into survival. Homeboy started pop, 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 pop. They was throwing him. They was choking him up on the top tier. And I'm like, no way that this is what prison's like on my like second or third day. You know what I mean? Fools banging with COs. Like, I don't even know what else is in store. I haven't even made it out. You know, I haven't even been classified yet. So I have no idea what's in store. I'm like, oh man, this is what it is. So that's what's in my head until I get out of the fish tank. When I get out of the fish tank, I go to B1. Now, mostly this block was broke up between whites and some Mexicans and a couple natives. Really was what the whole block was in B1 when I got there. So I chilled with, and when I got there, like I said, now this is where you get into your not every place politics real heavy, because when I got there, it was a lot of older dudes on the block that wasn't of my race. I'm Native and Mexican. Of my races, there wasn't a lot of Mexican and natives on the block that were politicking at all. They were all older dudes, you know, doing their time, played chess, drew, you know what I mean, do all that stuff, go to their job, blah, blah, blah. So I was one of the younger ones. And then maybe like a week later, we get a shipment of dudes in the block. And then another dude, he's probably about 4 or 5 years older than me. At this point, he's been down 5, 6 years. And one thing about Wyoming is they do out-of-state contracts a lot. Wyoming doesn't have enough housing for their inmates, so they ship them out of state. And over the years, they've sent them to Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, Virginia. They're in Mississippi right now. So over the years, Wyoming inmates have gone to these places, and depending on your mentality, when you go to these places that are other private prisons, some of these prisons let you mingle with other people. And so a lot of the times, the people who didn't grow up street in Wyoming, usually picked up their affiliations in politics in prison through going out of state and soaking up game from out of state cats, California cats, Texas cats, other places like that, soaking up their politics and adopting them and bringing them back to Wyoming. So in Wyoming, you got a couple white boy cars, your ones that roll super supremacist, and then your ones that are just kind of like Woods that are just like, I'm white, but I'm not like fuck all the other races. And you got your white boys that are fuck all the other races, you know what I mean? Then you got your Mexicans. So this is the thing about Wyoming. Like I said, they went out of state, picked up a lot of the politics, and some of the Mexicans in Wyoming are from Sureño gangs. In Cheyenne, there's a pretty big Sureño gang. They're called LPs. And then so these things trickled on the streets from Colorado to Wyoming, from California to Colorado to Wyoming, from Arizona to Wyoming, from Texas to Wyoming, all these other places. So then youngsters like me, impressionable dudes at that time, soaked up game from other cats, you know what I mean? Here in Casper, a lot of our big homies, if you got put on the street, your homies are from Texas, Denver, California, you know what I mean? Places like this. So you soak up game from these guys, and when you do it, it translates over and it carries on to the street, and then it carries on to prison. So when you get to prison, you got all these, kind of a hodgepodge of groups, because, you got Mexican and native bloods and Crips and Sureños, and, Norteños really ain't a thing, shout out to any real Norteños out there, you know what I mean? Shout out to my Sureños and my white homies and my black homies, all that, you know what I mean? But anyway, so it's like a hodgepodge, you know what I mean? So then you get to prison, you got your whites. So if you're a white boy, the whites are going to come, pull you to the side. Let me see your paperwork. Are you good? If you're good, you got a spot at the table. Then you can decide where to go from there, whether you're going to roll, with the supremacist car. It might just be predicated on who's on your block. You know what I mean? Who's running shit in the block, who's the mouthpiece for your car in the block. And that might be who you end up with. You know what I mean? You might just be a white boy and it's all supremacists on your block. You might go that route, and you might not even have been racist, but that's your environment, so you're going to do that. Or you might be a white boy and you come in and it's just a lot of Woods on the block, and so you know what I mean, you're going to just live, hey, Wood brother, you know what I mean, live the white boy life, but not be all supremacist. You could be Mexican. Now this is where it gets tricky, right? Most Mexicans, the predominant Mexican group in Wyoming prison system is Sureños. So when you're Mexican and you come in, depending on who you are, who you know, how you conduct yourself, you could have a decent time or you could have a bad time. Now, fortunately for me, when I came in, I had spent most of my life in the system, juvie, rehabs, county jail, all this stuff. So I'd met a lot of people on my way through the system, you know what I mean? So when I got to the block, I already knew dudes. So basically they knew, hey, O'Shea, we know you're this. Your paperwork checks out, so this is what it is. I got lucky that, like I said, the Mexicans were the ones predominantly, the Sureños were the predominant Mexican gang at the time. So I had a Mexican homie who wasn't put on, but he was affiliated, that told me, yo, you need to come talk to the homie with the keys at church, sign up for church, had to go talk to him. And he basically put me on game like, yo, bro, check it out. We know you ain't this, but you're a good dude. So keep your nose clean. Don't fucking get in no bullshit. Don't start no drama. Don't run your mouth. You know what I mean? And you'll be straight. And so I took that. And, if at any point anybody had ever, yo, why is this Mexican homie not rolling with the essays? You know what I mean? And then if they could hit me up, I'd say, yo, so-and-so is the one who told me I was straight. You know what I mean? He told me this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. So most of the time things could get worked out in a one-on-one situation in Wyoming prisons. You know what I mean? There were a couple Sureño cats that really didn't like me, and they really didn't like me because I got a pass because some of the big homies like me. Or they might have not just like my personality. I ain't everybody's cup of tea, you know what I mean? I'm not going to pretend I am. So, but that was my lane in prison, you know what I mean? Mostly I chilled with the natives, you know what I mean? Depending on what prison I was in, you know what I mean? Some I chilled with, there was Mexican and white and black homies that was Crips and Bloods, You know what I mean? And they chilled together due to a numbers thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, most of the Mexicans were Sureños. Most of the white boys did the white thing. But, you know, out here in the Midwest, you got white Crips and Bloods, white Sureños, Norteños. You got Mexican Crips and Bloods. You know what I mean? So it just, what block you're on and what joint you're in dictates how you roll. And as long, like I said, as long as you're not a kid toucher or a teller, most of the time you could slide. You might get into a little something, something here and there. You know, like I said, not everybody's always going to like you. But as long as you conduct yourself with respect and don't start shit, then you could get away with shit. Now, most of the altercations I've seen in the Wyoming joints were either due to debt or it was homies. Like, two homies were having a disagreement. You know, multiple times, my homie Matt Boyer, my home used to be my homie Kenny Rose, they banged out one time over a tattoo ink. You know what I mean? Their hustle was soot. Somehow something got lost in translation. They banged it out right in the middle of the block. And that was both my homies, and they was cool with each other. You know what I mean? But neither one was going to be disrespected, so they banged with each other. You know what I mean? The cat I grew up with in Northside over here in Casper, he was my next door neighbor. He got to the joint, had a $10 debt over a CD with these two brothers. These fools was going to stab him in the gym. You know what I mean? They banged it out. Nobody got poked. But it was just that way. And it just depends on your affiliation. Say you're not affiliate, but you're a good dude. You're a solid dude. You know what I mean? You didn't tell on nobody. You didn't touch no kids. You didn't start no bullshit in prison. So say you got an issue with a Sureño. If the big dog of the Sureños respects you and your get down and you're a respectable character, most time they're not going to send torpedoes at you. Most of the time when you're going to get torpedoed is when it gets political. Say you're part of an organization and you don't, you know, follow protocol, they're going to send some of your homies at you. Very rarely is it a race on race thing in Wyoming prisons. Most of the time, it's people clean up their own messes, their own race, their own car. You know what I mean? So that's how it went. I didn't really join no organization. Like I said, I mostly rolled native. You know what I mean? If there was natives on the block or on the yard, or you know what I mean, or with my homies from the joint, you know, that was one thing about me and my crew from the street. Me, my brother Age, my brother Dynasty, my brother Rocket, brother Jody B. We all went down. You know what I mean? And I did time with my brother Age and my brother Rocket. My brother Dynasty came right after I got paroled, so he was in the tank because I was getting paroled. The little bro Jody B came later. The home Fabes came later. You know what I mean? But we all went in there, so the system is introduced to my whole crew from the street and into the joint. And to my knowledge, when I was there, what I seen, me, my homie Age, and Rocket, we all kept it solid, kept it rocking what we was on the street. My brothers that went after me, as far as I know, they all kept it solid. You know what I mean? Because I had homies in there, homies that I still talk to this day, you know, that told me, actually, my little brother, Dynasty, he was cellies with one of my homies who's a lifer in the joint right now that still calls me. So I knew how my brother was conducting himself in the joint. You know what I mean? But anyways, so that's just a little bit of the breakdown. I didn't really get into a whole lot. There's a whole lot that goes on. You know, my daily life consisted of, I worked in the gym, so I'd wake up at like 5:30, brush my teeth, wash my face, blah, 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 throw my contraband in my bag and throw it over my shoulder and literally walk to the gym because I was a gym worker. They assumed it was my workout clothes and my shoes. And really, it was a whole bag full of contraband that I passed from block to block, you know what I mean? Another dude that I worked with in the gym, he ran tickets on the block next door. So I'd sell his tickets, he'd sell my tickets, and we'd meet in the middle, give each other's payouts, blah, blah, blah. I had a store in the block. It was the biggest store in the block when I was in Torrington. Man, we was getting drunk every day, doing pills every day, smoking spice every day. When spice became a big thing, man, I was a spice head. I got turned out in spice in the joint. You know what I mean? So there was a lot that went on. That was just to give you a really quick overall. Anybody who wants to get on here, comment, you know what I mean? everything I said was true. So anybody wants to contest anything I say, the comment section's right there, and I'll address everything and anything. Uh, anybody's got any more questions, anybody's wants to know if I ran into anybody, you know what I mean? Drop it in the comments. I'll respond back, you know what I mean? Like I said, prison, I don't want it to define me, but it was a significant portion of my life. You know, I did from 7 out of 10 years, from 16 to 26 years old, incarcerated. And a lot of the people that I know and still associate with are from that time of my life, you know what I mean? So I felt like I should touch base on that. A lot of people ask about it. And so now you know. All right. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop the comments, check the links below, and check in with me. Oath from the Ghost. Out.